Welcome back to the MVP podcast, the People Show, where we talk about the most valuable players in the world of sports. And today we are going to be talking about the most valuable players from the 1984 NBA draft. So I'm here with my boy Nayim, the Dream, and I feel like that name, it works perfectly now. Right?
It definitely does, man. It came from the guy from this draft.
That's what I'm saying.
Dream Shake.
So what we're going to do, I think, do you know what? I'm really excited. We've had this going for like a week. We're finally recording it now. So I think we got the idea from The Ringer with Bill Simmons and company, where they redrafted previous drafts, and we're going to do that as well. However, we're going to do slightly different, where we've picked 3 of the worst drafts, 3 of the best drafts, and a couple of random ones of our own choosing and redrafting them. And today we are going to redraft the top 5 of the 1984 NBA draft. How do you feel about that, Nayim?
Yeah, we're starting with probably the best or the second best draft of all time.
All times. Well, which one do you class the best then? The 96?
It's either this or 96 or 2003. I put 96 probably the top than this.
I think they have more NBA.
There's more better players, yeah. But
NBA.
this had 2 or 3 of the best players ever.
Okay, so do you want to get started? Should we just get started from the get-go?
So are we doing this like my one, your one, or am I doing it? One, yeah. Okay. So first pick, I'm gonna go with Anthony Bennett.
That would have been hilarious. Well, no, you're too early. You're 20
Oh my god,
you're too early, man. God.
The worst number 1 pick of all time. Nah.
That's the worst.
I'm gonna go with the greatest guy not pick number 1 ever, and pretty obvious. Even though Houston probably didn't need him, but if they had him, they would have been even, bigger than they are. Yeah. Michael Jordan, man. Yeah. Simple. It's very straightforward. I bet you've got the same pick as well. Simply because, 9 NBA first teams, 6 times MVP, Finals MVP, 5-time regular season MVP, undisputed GOAT. Last dance proved it all for us. It's tough to carry on talking about the guy, really. You can't. There's no negatives. I mean, I think the one thing I would have asked you is, if Jordan went there and Hakeem went to Chicago, for example, what's the over/under for rings for Michael Jordan in Houston?
With Jerry Krause, I think Olajuwon would have had a better career at the end of it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought people don't give Jerry Krause enough respect, but he's a Hall of Famer, general manager. He built a team around Jordan. He knew exactly what Jordan needed, and I'm pretty sure that Jerry Krause would have figured out exactly what Olajuwon needed and put a team around him. So, and I still think they would have had Scottie Pippen anyway. Although, in the short term, Olajuwon made his team better quicker. So maybe
because the team was a bit better.
Was a bit better, I suppose so.
Yeah.
No, but they were only a little bit better though. But they had better players already set, so they had your Clyde Drexler and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the careers would have been different. I don't think Jordan might have won 6 with Houston. I still think he would have been as dominant as he was at Chicago Bulls. 100%.
It would have been crazy seeing Jordan out in the West.
So I am also taking Jordan number 1, 100%. He's the greatest. I can't add anything to this Jordan conversation that you have already done. So now I am going to be the one to pick the second pick first.
Okay, cool.
Go backwards and forwards. So let's go.
Yeah, snake draft
now. Okay, Nayim, I don't know if you're going to like my second pick. I don't know if you like my second pick, right? So I went a little bit over. I went out of the box. And I know people are going to hate it and people are going to have something to say about it. I know Olajuwon is the second best player in this draft. But I am going to pick the guy that's never missed the playoffs. He has 9 straight assists leading seasons. I believe he had a 9 to 11 years of 50 wins and 3 years of 60 wins. He is a Hall of Famer, greatest assister, greatest stealer, if I can call him that. I went with John Stockton to go number 2. But do you know why? Listen, do you know why? It's because Portland Trail Blazers already had an let's call it an all-right team. They were already a playoff team. They got bounced in the first round, but that's fine. But I think with what John Stockton can do, including his loyalty and everything, I think he would have pushed the team a little bit further. So I went with John Stockton number 2.
I mean, it's a great pick. It's a great pick. You're not getting someone a scrub, a bona fide scrub, as Stephen A. Smith would say. You're getting a Hall of Famer. Exactly. You know, if it wasn't for MJ, he'd be a 2-time champion at least. Exactly. Him and Karl Malone. Exactly. So you're getting a good guy, but I can't look past what Hakeem brought to the NBA, man. The sort of the style, the finesse, the rebounding numbers, the defensive numbers, the putting people on posters, all the NBA first teams that he made, defensive player of the year, MVPs, 2-time champion. I think they would have made it work. In them days, the focus on dominance of the big man was still very much at its prime. So you needed a big man. So having 2 big men, spacing wasn't an issue. So I know obviously Portland, they had a semi-decent team. A point guard would have organised it. But I think Hakeem would have just gone in and just would have changed the culture. I think they would have become at least finalists maybe. Because if they got bounced in the first round, I think with Hakeem, they're going to the finals in the first year. Or at least the Western Conference finals. So I got to take Hakeem Olajuwon. There's where I got my name from, the dream. I'm sticking with the dream.
All right, so let's move on to the 3rd pick of this draft. Nayim, take the floor.
With the 3rd selection, I am torn between Charles Barkley and John Stockton, and I think I am going to go with Charles Barkley. I think that Chicago were just crap, terrible, and I just look at Michael Jordan, and I didn't know as much until I watched The Last Dance. But that team was just so deflated and a joke in Chicago. I don't think John Stockton had the personality to turn it around, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think he would have been the guy that would have came in there and got people off their seats and said, you know what, you're fighting with me. Whereas I feel like Charles Barkley, look how he is now still. He's got that personality, and he's one of the most underrated rebounders of all time. He's undersized, underrated, and he went to the finals, he won an MVP as well. So I think from a culture perspective, I think Charles Barkley might have been able to do more for Chicago. And we are talking about 2 great players as well. It's not like I'm debating one who's just got good attitude and the other who's just a good player. They're both great players. They're both going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I would pick Charles Barkley because I think he could have turned it around in Chicago.
Wow.
Maybe not as much as Jordan, but he could have turned it around. Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know why I would have never put Barkley in that Chicago Bulls team? It's just because of that. It's because of his attitude. I don't know if they would have been able to manage his mouth, his actions on the court as the number 1 leader, as the go-to guy.
The thing is, though, for me, is the best 2 players are off the board.
Yeah.
The best 2 players. The 2 players you would think most likely would be able to turn it around. So I had to pick between these 2 guys, whereas you have got the perfect guy left.
For the Chicago.
But you didn't take, I don't think you took the right guy second. But you've saved him for 3rd. So
and
it's kind of like, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, because if we're being honest, Hakeem Olajuwon is, like, across the whole board is brilliant. Your points, rebounds, he can assist, steals, blocks, and Chicago were terrible at all of them.
That's true. That's very true.
They didn't have one single player that was like, yeah, this is a good guy. Do you know what? I wrote down their team, right? I wrote down their team, and I really want to read it out because even I was like, who the hell is you, right? So they had a player called Watley at point guard.
Never
They
heard
had
of
a
him.
player called Daly at shooting guard.
Never heard of him.
Greenwood at small forward.
Mason Greenwood. Never heard of him.
Coleridge at power forward, and a guy called Corzine, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, at 5.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, but the most that they've averaged was 19 points. The most that one individual player averaged was 19 points.
Wow.
They were bottom half in literally every single stat nearly.
Yeah, they were terrible. They
were poor. But so I obviously, with my third pick, I'm gonna put Hakeem Olajuwon in there because I feel like when it comes down to, first of all, Chicago Bulls fans, you're welcome because I just gave you Olajuwon instead of anyone else. You get me? So
that's true.
Well done to you guys. But at the same time, that was just, like I said, that was just a really poor team that just needed a player that could do everything. And I think, although Barkley, I respect him immensely, with or without rings, I respect him immensely for a 6'4", arguably anyway. People have said that he's closer to 6'4" than 6'6". For 6'4" power forward that can run like crazy.
Exactly.
But he came into the league with a massive attitude, and I think Philly picking him was perfect. I'll tell you, like when we come down to the fourth pick, exactly why it was perfect that I went to Philly. But I'm taking the two-time MVP, the Mister. I have had a quadruple double. Hakeem Olajuwon straight to the Chicago Bulls.
You can't dispute with that pick. Obviously, you had him on your board left, so you have to take him. So are we now on to the fourth? It's your fourth pick.
Yeah. So let's move on to the fourth pick right now. So, fourth pick, Dallas Mavericks. They took Sam Perkins at this spot, right?
They took Sam Perkins at this spot,
right? And the Sam Perkins, although he had a long career, it wasn't really,
10 points a game average.
Yeah, so I would have to take the only good player left, which is Charles Barkley. Although, preferably, I would have sent him to... If I'm looking at it from Barkley's perspective, I'd still want him on the Philadelphia 76ers. Because I feel like that team was just so perfect for him. But at this stage, Dallas, you could never go wrong with putting him on there. So I am going to go with the round mound of rebound. Is that what they call it? Of rebound. I'm going to go with Charles Barkley, 100%.
So you got Barkley, and I got the last best player left in the draft. So I'm going to go with John Stockton. He's last on my big board. You made the argument already. I think you took him a little too high, but every situation is different. It would have been interesting to see who Dallas drafted going forward to support him. But I think he could have had some success there. Dallas were, they weren't very good at that point. But then
actually, they weren't that bad. Do you know what?
They weren't that bad either.
I've got their squad in front of me right now, right? So they had two all-star type players already on the team in Rolando Blackman and Marcus.
Yeah.
Both Aguirre the season before averaged 30 points per game, and Blackman averaged 22 points per game, I believe. Yeah, 22.4. So he's joining a team that, if you add him to a team that can already score, got two 20-plus scoring players.
Aguirre was good.
Aguirre was very good. They retired his jersey, did they not?
Yeah, I think they did.
Dallas Mavericks did retire his jersey. And to add a guy, because one thing that they struggled on, and I put it in massive capitals, they were bottom 3 in rebounds.
See, yeah, you got a good pick. You got a good pick. But I'm with the draft. I'm looking at it from the team, and the team. It doesn't matter about the player. Of course, you want the perfect player in the perfect situation, but it's the team that has the power. So I'm looking at it like that. Even though I think, Houston probably would have done better with Hakeem, because they needed a big man, for example, that they could put with Ralph Sampson. Like in Chicago, they probably could have done with Jordan because of the attitude thing. Yeah. Jordan was hungry. He came in. He was humble and hungry. Stockton, okay, maybe he looks better in 3 or 2 or whatever. But I'm just looking for the team. The team, they just want the best possible player available. So that's why I went with Stockton. Who did you go with then?
I went with the best player that got left. I picked Charles Barkley to go.
Charles Barkley, yeah. And then that team's really good.
They were really, really good. Dallas were really, really good. But you know what? It could have gone both ways. They didn't have a proper power forward anyway, and they didn't have a proper point guard either. So whether they take Stockton or they take Charles Barkley, they will be winning regardless anyway, in my opinion. and they're very well run organization even back then. And I also found out this whole thing is like research to me now. Like I'm learning ridiculous amount of stuff, right? But Dallas was new back then.
Yeah, they were. They found it. They were fairly new.
And the general manager that they had was the youngest general manager of all times, and he's the one that drafted Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman, and then ended up drafting in this position Sam Perkins. But
yeah, it was but a bit of a mistake on that point. But it was still they've been a good franchise. They've been a very good franchise.
100%.
So is the fifth pick, is it you or is it me? It's me now, isn't it?
Okay, so let's move on to the fifth and final pick of our NBA redraft. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm not gonna pretend like I know any of these guys on that level. So I will be straight up. But I am gonna go with Otis Thorpe. He was an NBA champion. He had a 16-year career, 14 points a game, 6 rebounds. I think he even made an All-Star game as well. So he was the best available player. Like I know there's the Sam Bowie argument. You know, he was injured for a couple of years. He injured throughout his career. You know, he could have been something, but I'm just going on what was in front of me. Who's going to give me 16 years? Who's going to give me, at that time, 14 points is a lot of points, you know? Who's going to give me a solid 14 points, off the bench guy, you know, NBA champion as well. So I just went with Otis Thorpe.
Yeah.
The best player I had available left.
I think the case with Philly is that they were that good. They were that good that they didn't really even need this pick, if we're being real honest. The fact that they ended up with Charles Barkley in the first place is a miracle. Their starting five consisted of 3 All-NBA type players and 2 All-Defensive type players separately. So they had 5 unbelievable players around them, and 3 of them averaged 20-plus points. Julius Erving, Moses Malone, and a guy that I didn't know about, which was Andrew Toney. But all of them averaged 20 points plus per game. And then they had 2, the point guard, who escapes me, point guard anyway, and the power forward. They were all NBA first defensive team players.
Wow.
How well-rounded is that team? Does that make sense?
Didn't they win the title in '83? What have I got that wrong?
Yeah, they did. No. Yeah, it was 80. It was before. No, it wasn't 83. Yes, it was. 84 was Boston Celtics. 83, I believe, was them. Bro, that team was stacked. So you went with Thorpe.
Yeah, off the bench guy.
Off the bench. I went with Sam Perkins because I don't think there was like that much of a difference between their productivity anyway. And if we're being real honest, I don't think any of the 2 would have stayed with the 76ers that long anyway.
Charles Barkley didn't, so you're absolutely spot on. I don't think they would have.
This was like the end of their era. They were slowly starting to come to the end of their probably the greatest era in the history of the basketball team. So,
exactly.
Nayim, do you want to do Sosa's line? Do you want to do Sosa's line to close us off?
If you like the video, share with your friends, subscribe if you're new. It's something like that. We appreciate it, and we will be back again with another episode. Thank you very much for tuning in, people.
Peace.